coming under the boat, you're going to see a big crevice down there. And that big crevice is the bridal chamber spring, also known as the abyss. Now, several years ago, a young lady disappeared into that crevice with some scuba gear on, and her intent was to try to find the bottom of the spring. Now, it's not a straight drop like a well shaft would be. She had to spelunk her way through all the nooks and crannies, literally pushing her tank ahead of her at one point in time when it had become too narrow and to continue with it on her back. And when it got too dangerous to continue, she was 81 feet inside that crevice right there. Yeah. Now they were getting ready to send a rescue diver after when she finally popped back up and told them how deep she'd been. They've been back down there since then with strings and weights. But because of the irregularity in the formation, they just kept hitting another shelf or another switchback. They couldn't get anywhere. They don't know how deep this one is. Some people will say it's truly bottomless, and others will say 81 because we got marked to that depth. Now, as the water moves through the aquifers, the pH will rise and fall with rain, and when it goes slightly to the acidic side, the water will start to dissolve the limestone. Now, little flakes and crumbs will start to flake away from the inside of the caves and tunnels as the water moves through, and ultimately those will get pushed out of the spring vent, and that's the white sediment that you see in and around the springs as we move over the top of them. Now, in addition to limestone, there are pieces of snail shells and also coquina shells that are embedded in the rock. Coquinas are those little miniature clams you see digging into the sand over on the east coast when the surf rolls back. They come in all colors, but there's a percentage of them, if you crack them open, have a shiny silver lining on the inside of them. Every now and then, one of those coquina shells will get pushed out of the spring vent down there and flip and flutter in the current, pick up the sun and sparkle back that shiny silver color. And that's how the springs and the river got its names from that very effect. Now, this is a classic display of everything I've just described to you, and we call this spring the snowstorm because it kind of looks like a snow globe that's been all shaken up down there. Everybody see that down there?
Yep.
See how all the discharge is coming out? Now, that is actively discharging water at about 3.5 miles per hour. Now I'm just going to make a pass back out here as we go. There was a company called the Hart's Line Company that ran a fleet of steam-powered paddle wheel vessels from pre-Civil War time right up until the 1920s. They would pick up passengers and cargo in Jacksonville. They would come 127 miles down 3 different rivers and ultimately board right there where you guys got on the boat. There used to be a hotel there back then, and that's where they would unload their people and their cargo and reload and go back the other way. This boat right here that's coming under the glass is what's left of one of those steam-powered paddle wheel vessels. This one was built in 1860. It caught fire while it was sitting there beside the hotel. Now, all of these boats were steamboats, and they used wood as a fuel supply for their steam plants. This boat had a lot of wood on it when it caught fire, and they weren't able to get it under control. So they pushed it away to drift in the river so it wouldn't burn down the hotel and the dock. And this is where it settled. And when it burned off the top and they cleaned up the mess, that's what's left of it right there. It's from the old Hart's Line Company. Now I'm going to direct your attention to the right side, and you see this clump of trees over here on the right. And if you look up in the top of these trees, you'll see a whole bunch of birds up there. Now there's 2 species of bird, one called the cormorant, or double-crested cormorant, the other called anhinga. Now, by March, there'll be 2 or 3 times as many nests up there. This is called a rookery. Now, both of these species of birds hunt under the water. The anhinga, or snake bird, has a very long needle-like beak, and they do use that to pierce their prey, and that's how you can tell it from their cousin, the double-crested cormorant. The cormorant has a long beak, but it turns down on the end like a seagull or an albatross, and that's how you can tell the 2 species apart. Now, the anhinga, or snake bird, is what they're called here in Florida. Actually, anhinga is a Brazilian Portuguese word for devil bird. They don't like them down there, in fact. Now, they don't have any oil on their feathers, the anhinga, so when they get wet, waterlogged, it makes it difficult for them to fly. And you often see them standing over there with their wings all spread out. What they're trying to do is dry it up a little bit to make it easier to fly. Now, the blackbird you see with the gray color, the light brown colored neck on them, those are anhingas, but they're the female of the species, and that's how you can tell males from females. Now, as you look to the back of the alcove, you'll see these turtles that are sitting on the log back there. Now, when you see those in the pet shops, they're about 2 inches around. They call them slider turtles. They're trying to sell them to you to put into your aquarium. Now, that is a marketing name. The actual scientific name for those turtles, they're called red-bellied cooters. And that's why when you come into Florida, excuse me, and you see towns like Inverness having a cooter festival, and you're thinking, man, what is that all about? It's about those turtles there. They were the primary food source for the First Nation tribes here in Florida, as well as the original settlers. They were plentiful. They were easy to catch, and apparently they taste pretty good.
Up in here for it's all the